How did ancient humans survive mosquitoes? Imagine lying down to sleep after an exhausting day of hunting and gathering. The sun has disappeared below the horizon, and the forest around you grows quiet. For a brief moment, everything feels peaceful. Then you hear it, a faint, high-pitched buzz near your ear. You wave your hand, but another mosquito lands on your arm, then another on your neck. Within minutes, hundreds of tiny insects surround you, searching for every piece of exposed skin. Today, a single mosquito in your bedroom can ruin your entire night. You might grab a spray, switch on a fan, or hide under a mosquito net. But imagine living in a world where none of those things existed. No walls to protect you, no windows to close, no medicine if you became sick. This was the reality for every ancient human who lived thousands of years before civilization. Mosquitoes are far older than humans. Scientists believe they have existed for more than 100 million years, surviving even the extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs. By the time modern humans appeared around 300,000 years ago, mosquitoes had already become one of nature's most successful hunters. They could detect carbon dioxide from human breath, sense body heat, and even recognize certain body odors, making it almost impossible to hide from them. Ironically, the places that helped humans survive also attracted mosquitoes. Rivers, lakes, marshes, and wetlands provided fresh water, fish, edible plants, and animals to hunt. These same environments were perfect breeding grounds for mosquitoes. Every rainy season, millions of larvae hatched in shallow pools, creating enormous swarms that emerged at sunset. For ancient humans, mosquitoes were more than a nightly annoyance. Hidden inside many of them was an invisible danger capable of changing the course of an entire life. As frightening as endless mosquito bites were, the itching was only the beginning. The greatest danger wasn't the insect itself, it was what the insect carried. A mosquito no larger than a fingernail could silently inject parasites and deadly diseases into the human body, turning a simple bite into a fight for survival. One of the oldest and most dangerous diseases spread by mosquitoes is malaria. Scientists believe malaria has existed for tens of thousands of years, possibly affecting some of the earliest human populations. Even today, it kills hundreds of thousands of people every year despite modern hospitals and advanced medicine. Now imagine facing the same disease without doctors, medicine, or even knowing what caused it. To ancient humans, sickness often seemed mysterious. One day a person was healthy enough to hunt with the group. A few days later, they developed a high fever, violent chills, headaches, and overwhelming exhaustion. Some recovered. Many never did. No one understood that a tiny insect had started the entire chain of events. Mosquitoes also spread other dangerous illnesses depending on the region and climate. While not every ancient mosquito carried disease, no one could know which bite was harmless and which one might become fatal. Every evening brought another gamble. Children were especially vulnerable. Their smaller bodies and developing immune systems made infections more dangerous. Pregnant women faced even greater risks, and losing a family member to disease could threaten the survival of the entire group. Every adult played an important role in finding food, protecting children, and defending against predators. Losing even one experienced hunter or gatherer made life much harder for everyone. Constant mosquito attacks created another problem that is easy to overlook: sleep deprivation. Imagine trying to rest while insects buzz around your ears, crawl across your skin, and bite you over and over again. Poor sleep meant slower reaction. Over countless generations, ancient humans learned that they could never eliminate mosquitoes, but they could reduce their attacks. One of their greatest discoveries was something they already depended on for warmth, protection, and cooking: fire. As evening approached, families often gathered around campfires. While the heat kept dangerous predators at a distance, the rising smoke served another important purpose. Many insects struggled to fly through thick smoke, and mosquitoes were no exception. The smoke also made it harder for them to detect the carbon dioxide people exhaled with every breath. Without realizing the science behind it, ancient humans had discovered one of the world's oldest natural insect repellents. But fire alone was rarely enough. Some groups intentionally added damp leaves, green branches, or certain plants to the flames to produce thicker smoke that lingered longer after sunset. Archaeologists cannot always identify exactly which plants were burned, But ethnographic studies of traditional hunter-gatherer societies suggest that many communities around the world independently discovered vegetation that helped drive insects away. Humans also became surprisingly selective about where they slept. A campsite only a few hundred meters away could mean the difference between a peaceful night and constant attacks. Marshes, stagnant ponds, and slow-moving streams produced enormous numbers of mosquitoes, while windy hills, rocky ground, and open grasslands often had far fewer. Groups that repeatedly chose safer camps likely suffered fewer bites and fewer deadly infections. Some researchers also believe ancient people experimented with covering their exposed skin. Mud may have formed a temporary barrier against insect bites, while helping cool the body in hot climates. Animal fat mixed with crushed leaves or aromatic plants might have masked human scent, making it slightly harder for mosquitoes to locate them. Although we cannot know every method they used, many indigenous cultures have traditionally used plant oils and natural resins to repel insects, suggesting that similar ideas may stretch back thousands of years. These strategies did not make ancient humans comfortable. They simply made survival a little more likely. Yet mosquitoes continued to influence where people traveled, where they settled, and even which environments they chose to avoid. In ways most people never imagine, these tiny insects may have quietly shaped the history of our species. As humans slowly spread across Africa and eventually into Asia, Europe, and beyond, they didn't just face new predators or harsher climates. They also encountered entirely different species of mosquitoes, each adapted to its own environment. In some regions, these insects were little more than an annoyance. In others, they became one of the deadliest threats people would ever face. Scientists believe mosquitoes may have influenced where ancient humans chose to live. Areas filled with swamps and stagnant water offered plenty of food and fresh water, but they also carried a hidden cost. Groups that remained there too long were more likely to suffer repeated outbreaks of disease. Over many generations, people may have learned through experience that certain places brought sickness while others allowed families to thrive. This knowledge wasn't written down in books. It was passed from one generation to the next through observation. Parents taught their children which valleys to avoid after heavy rains, where to build temporary camps, and when to move before mosquito populations exploded. These lessons became part of everyday survival, just as important as knowing how to hunt or make fire. Evolution may have played an important role as well. Not every human responded to mosquito-borne diseases in the same way. Some individuals naturally possessed genetic traits that offered greater resistance to infections such as malaria. Those who survived were more likely to have children, passing these protective traits to future generations. Over thousands of years, this process of natural selection slowly shaped entire populations. Even today, scientists can identify genetic adaptations in some regions that developed because malaria was such a powerful force throughout human history. Perhaps the most remarkable fact is that one of humanity's greatest enemies was also one of its smallest. Lions, bears, and wolves could only hunt a limited number of people. Mosquitoes, however, attacked entire communities night after night without ever being seen as a serious threat until it was too late. These tiny insects influenced migration, survival, and even human evolution itself. Yet despite millions of bites and countless deadly diseases, our ancestors refused to disappear. Their determination allowed future generations, including us, to exist today. But one final question remains. What does this ancient battle teach us about the world we live in now? Today, the battle between humans and mosquitoes is far from over. Every year, these tiny insects are responsible for hundreds of millions of infections around the world. Thanks to modern medicine, mosquito nets, vaccines under development, insect repellents, and better sanitation, most of us rarely stop to think about how dangerous they truly are. Yet for nearly all of human history, our ancestors had none of these advantages. Imagine living every single day knowing that sunset would bring another wave of relentless attacks. There was no guarantee that your children would wake up healthy the next morning. A simple fever could spread through an entire group. A single infected bite might weaken the strongest hunter, leaving the community without food or protection. Every night was another test of endurance, and every morning was a small victory.